Hey, it's me, the Soy Pill. Today I'm mad at people who pretend to leave the left. Elon Musk, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin. This guy. All of these people claim that they were once on the left side of the political spectrum, and that while their politics haven't changed, the left has gone crazy and pushed them further away. They make big shows about how they're leaving the left, parading it around on Fox News and PragerU, and this guy even made it a movement that you've probably never heard of. Here's why these people piss me off. Because despite everything that has happened in the past decade, like Gamergate, SJWs, and all the other crazy left-wing stuff that's been popping up since we entered the evil timeline, your sweet, kind, innocent soy pill hasn't changed parties. I didn't leave the left. But why not? There are tons of things on the left that make me cringe, or get angry, or say, what the actual fuck are you doing? Jesus Christ.
Watermelon's a good ride. Watermelon's a good ride.
The left isn't perfect by any means. Just my channel name alone should tell you that I enjoy poking fun at the left and its shortcomings. And to prove to all the conservatives in my audience that I'm hip and cool like them,
and then we'll even do the Chad meme because there's a little bit of facial hair.
let's go through a few examples.
What's the difference? Yow! Paraboy versus Demi-boy.
Yeah, this is really f***ing annoying. I'm not gonna finish watching this video to figure out what a paraboy is, but I'm assuming it looks something like this. Yeah, I don't really get why this is happening at all. Why are we showing strippers to children? Like, I get not wanting to come off as bigoted, but just because homophobic people don't like this doesn't mean it's homophobic to think this is kind of weird.
Here it is, right here. There you go. Mr. White Man, get these white women and get these white people a hand, man.
Oh, hey look, it's the imaginary conservative straw man of what Black Lives Matter is, except it's actually real. White people are out on the street, kissing black people on the feet. Stuff like this is often quoted as the reason for leaving the left. Identity politics, virtue signaling woke madness. You've heard it all before. But if I hate these things, then why don't I leave the party? Well, let me talk about... I still vote Democrat and call myself a progressive because I hold several fundamental beliefs. To give you a better idea, I was a really strong Bernie supporter because he embodied those beliefs. Beliefs like tackling climate change as an existential threat, addressing wealth inequality, workers' rights, holding Wall Street accountable, and getting rid of dark money in politics, losing horribly over and over and over and over and over and over, having no one listen to you and being terribly ineffectual as a result, getting nothing done because no one listens to you, and social welfare programs. And despite all its problems, voting Democrat is the best way to achieve these goals right now. It's the reason Bernie Sanders ran as a Democrat. All of that cringy stuff we looked at is bad. But for one, the Democrats don't embrace it wholesale. Most of the time. Jesus. But even if they did, even if Biden threw a paraboy parade, if 20, 30, 40% of Democrats were out in the streets kissing black people on the feet, I wouldn't leave the left because those things don't affect the material policy positions that I hold. Cringy Black Lives Matter virtue signaling doesn't stop us from getting better healthcare. Child drag shows aren't stopping us from getting renewable energy. So what's the best justification that these people have? People leaving the left have two things in common. Number one, they say that they voted for Obama. And number two, they're leaving because the left got too progressive. Now, luckily for us, this worldview is simplistic and childish, which is why we can visualize it in a cartoon. This one was shared by Elon Musk on Twitter. See, the little cartoon guy isn't moving, but when the left moves, now he's on the right, and everyone's yelling at him. Oh no! It's really crazy how the power of diversity quotas and wokeness has somehow kept the right from moving right in the past 10 years.
You will not replace us. You will not replace us. You will not.
But if we really want to analyze why these people are full of shit, we need only look at their own claims. If they voted for Obama, then let's hop back in time to when I was just a wee little soybean and look at his Democratic platform to compare to what these people believe now. I think most people would agree that the major Democratic policies during the Obama era can be boiled down to affordable healthcare or Obamacare, marriage equality, environmental protections, immigration reform or DACA, and abortion rights. I feel like I'm missing one here. The current day Republican Party in no way resembles the Obama Democrats. They stand for none of these policies. In fact, they stand for the opposite of all of them. Well, except for... So it'd be really weird if, like, all of these people who voted for Obama Democrats started supporting the party which has the exact opposite of Obama Democratic views. Let's start off with Elon Musk. A lot of people know that Elon Musk is a total charlatan from his Twitter nonsense or opposite-day Nostradamus predictions. Or maybe you know him from his epic memeage.
You create your own memes, though, don't you?
Someone create some memes.
Your meme king is strong.
Thank you.
Your meme king is strong.
Thank you.
Your meme king is strong.
Thank you.
Anyway, he's described himself as socially liberal, but fiscally center or center-right, and claims to have historically voted overwhelmingly Democrat. Boy, I'm really glad this tweet just ends right there and there's not a bunch of other stupid things I'm gonna have to revisit later. Elon also definitely understands that climate change is a serious issue. He has a solar energy company, he got mad at Trump for leaving the Paris Climate Accord, and his Teslas significantly reduced the population's carbon footprint by swerving into toddlers. Jeez. And I could get behind Elon voting Democrat just for climate change. I could even be called a single-issue voter on climate change. If the Republicans promised to be the party of eco-radicalism and aggressively overhauled our economy to get net zero and renewable ASAP, they'd have my vote. Of course, they'd have to call it something like the war on climate and start blowing up oil rigs just to get their base on board. Anyway, why else did Elon Musk vote for Democrats? He says, in the past, I voted Democrat because they were mostly the kindness party. I don't think I have to explain why this is a vapid reason to vote for Democrats, because it sounds like he might vote for the Nazis. But we also say sorry before we throw you in the gas chamber. Anyway, that's the end of the tweet. I promise it doesn't get any stupider than that, and we won't be revisiting. So, former Obama voter Mr. Elon Musk cares about niceness and climate change. So, of course, he's also telling you to vote for one of the most conservative politicians in office, and also the entire Republican Party? Hey, Elon, that's pretty weird that you think that we should vote for Ron DeSantis, considering he mandated that cities use fossil fuels, the guy that banned funding for policies that consider climate-oriented goals, and you also told everyone to go vote for Republicans so that they can balance things out? If by balance things out, you mean vote against really important climate legislation. Surely you have something else to justify this egregious political shift. Oh good, it's back. But they have become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer support them and will vote Republican. Now watch their dirty tricks campaign against me unfold. Popcorn emoji. Judging by the relentless hate stream from the far left, this tweet was spot on. If I say something really stupid and unfounded, I bet everyone's gonna get mad at me. Hey look, everyone's mad at me. This proves my unfounded and stupid point. This is why I'm literally Iron Man. Okay, sure, the Democrats have their fair share of division and hate, but for every person calling Trump supporters racist or deplorable, there's an equally divisive statement coming from the right. Obviously, either side is going to call the other one the more divisive party, and I'm sure you can all guess which party I find more hateful, but to claim that one party embodies all divisiveness is asinine. So let's look at this big checklist of things that Elon Musk claims to care about. Nope, he votes for people who want to destroy that. Sorry, Elon, there's no party of niceness. It's never been the Democrats, and it's definitely not the party with people who say stuff like this.
Do you think a gay couple should have the same rights as a...
No, I don't. I really don't. I don't think it's fair.
The Post reports that according to two people briefed in the meeting, the president asked, quote, "Why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here?"
The Democrats are a party of pedophiles.
I would definitely say so. They support grooming children.
As we all know, I do literally think that anime is demonic, and every single person who has ever watched it has become possessed by the devil.
Now, I'm not implying that Elon Musk never really cared about these things or anything else that might have made him vote Democrat, and I'm not implying that he only claimed to leave the left because his wife left him and daughter hates him and he's gravitating towards the party who will help him maintain his horrible workplace practices and union-busting policies, because that's definitely what he's doing, so there's no implication needed. Alright, on to Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin is a former member of the Young Turks, one of the most popular progressive shows online. So unlike Elon Musk, Dave has a distinct record of supporting most of the Democratic platform, and that's why he has so easily made a career around being the guy who left the left.
So if you think people should be able to say what they think without being punished for it, that people should be judged by their behavior, not their skin color, and that people should be able to live the way that they want to live without government interference, then there's not much left on the left for you.
As far as my wake up, there were a couple moments. The most famous one which now I think has been seen probably about 50 million times on YouTube, is when I had Larry Elder on. Larry Elder is a black conservative, really a libertarian, but this is about 5 years ago, and I was still a lefty. We got into it about systemic racism, and he just basically beat me senseless with facts.
All right, Dave, let's take a look at your Larry Elder interview that turned you into a right-winger.
But you wouldn't not acknowledge that there are some systemic issues.
Give me an example. Tell me what you think the most systemic racist issue is. What is it?
All right, Dave, your whole ideology is based around this. Can you give a good example?
Well, I would say that because black people in most cases, in many cases, were descendants of slaves, that racism as an institution, that it just, a certain amount of it just exists.
2015? Give me the most blatant racist example you can come up with right now.
I think you could probably find evidence that, in general, cops are more willing to shoot if the perpetrator is black.
What's your data
than white.
And instead of talking about racist voting restrictions or the downstream effects of redlining, Dave picks something that literally isn't true anymore, and then folds like a sack of potatoes when Larry Elder starts spouting off black-on-black crime statistics.
965 people were shot by cops last year and killed. 4% of them were white cops shooting unarmed blacks. In Chicago in 2011, 21 people were shot and killed by cops. Black people, half the homicides in this country are committed by and against black people. Last year there were 14,000 homicides, not talking about suicides, I'm talking about homicides. Half of them were black, 96% of them black on black of that 7,000. Where's the Black Lives Matter people on that?
Funny, I find myself caught in between this a little bit as a liberal, where I want to always try to defend the other. So in this case, the other being black people, I'm always sympathetic to that. And that, at the same time, I hear you laying out a pretty solid case.
Also, small bonus moment when Larry Elder starts listing black people who were killed by police and then says they should have just complied.
And almost every one of these incidents, whether it's Eric Gardner in New York, who died because he was selling loosies and resisted arrest, whether it's Tamir Rice in Cleveland, who was twirling around the gun, almost every one of these incidents involved somebody resisting arrest. Why don't you just do what the police tell you?
Gee, I wonder why Tamir Rice didn't comply. Was it because he was a 12-year-old with a toy gun that the police shot 2 seconds after leaving the car?
Shots fired, male down, black male, maybe 20.
Now, if Dave was just really stupid, I'd give him a pass. Maybe he didn't fully understand what systemic racism meant in the first place, and he latched on to the first somewhat coherent argument to the contrary that he's ever heard, never bothering to do any more research to see if maybe there were studies or explanations that countered Larry Elder. But Dave isn't just really stupid. He's also a grifter, which is why when a leftist came on his show and made him look like an idiot again, he didn't shift back to the left.
It seems like everyone's kind of veering to some version of open borders, that's somehow something kind of.
So tell me. Where do you get this?
Well, I don't consider.
You say I'm a Democrat.
No, I don't consider myself a Democrat anymore. I don't consider myself a Republican, but I'm definitely not a Democrat.
I have not heard one candidate.
Well, they won't say it, but the policies seem to be.
Oh, you don't say it, but you really, I mean, is that healthy, honorable debate? You say it if you believe it. I don't believe it. You can have healthy.
No, I take them at their word. I take them at their word. Well, they won't say it, but I take them at their word. It seems to me that the policies ultimately are.
Why? If you say we should have proper security at the border, but that is going to take, remember, the president has closed a lot of the ports of entry. That is what has created so much of the squeeze here, because he's closed so many of the border entry points. Of course we need border enforcement. Of course we need more judges. Of course we need more agents. Of course we need more technology.
Anyway, Dave also says,
there's this meme that somehow on the left must love tolerance, so the implication is that the people on the right are bigots and angry, and it just simply is not true.
And you know, it's really weird, because the people he describes as nicer also say stuff like this.
If you vote in favor of the idea that society has an obligation to recognize male-male or female-female dyads in the same way that society has an obligation to recognize male-female, you should not be in the Republican Party.
Will you bake Rubin a wedding cake?
Okay, so, I mean, my answer is...
Well, I'm married already.
Right, he's married already.
But an anniversary, it was my anniversary last week. An anniversary cake would have been nice.
Right, so the answer is
No, as a religious Jew, I do not participate in activities that I believe are sinful.
If we were having an anniversary party, would you come? If I was inviting all the crew that we all know, and we were just an anniversary party, we're just having a party, and I'll even throw in some kosher food for you to make sure you don't have to bring your own food.
You know, honestly, I'd have to think about it.
Just look at the response Dave got when he announced that he and his husband were adopting kids. So why does he still call himself a liberal?
A true liberal is for gay marriage because they believe a gay person should have the same rights as a straight person. A true liberal is pro-choice because they believe it is the right of the woman to do with her body as she sees fit. A true liberal is for legalization of marijuana because you should be allowed to smoke whatever you want in your own home. This is why some of my critics say I'm actually a right-winger. I'm not bothered by this charge because it doesn't even make sense if you understand the original meaning of liberalism as I just laid out.
A few moments later.
There's the dirty little truth that classical liberalism is technically more a part of the American right because of the importance it puts on individual freedom. It doesn't even make sense. Silencing dissent, deplatforming speakers, hurling unfair charges of racism and bigotry aren't liberal ideas at all, although sadly they've become part and parcel of today's left.
Well, Dave, as a member of the left, I'd be happy to meet you in the marketplace of ideas and debate you about all— Oh, look at that, he blocked me on Twitter. Now, if you have pattern recognition and definitely not autism because your mom said that the doctor lied and you don't have that demon inside of you, you can probably guess where this is going.
You're in California, you posted that you voted and you voted for President Trump. Why is that? What about his message resonates with you?
Yeah, well, as most of your audience knows, I've been a lifelong Democrat. I voted for Obama twice. I voted for Gore. I voted for John Kerry. This is the first time I've ever voted for a Republican president. But I see Trump basically as the last bulwark to stop the radical left. And on top of that, by the way, this isn't just a counter vote. I think Donald Trump has actually done a lot of good.
No, come on, no.
Yep. Dave is gunning hard for Republicans. He voted for Trump in 2020, he's working with Tucker Carlson and other right-wingers, and he loves Ron DeSantis. Hey, can we just see that list of Obama policies again?
Medicare for all means bloating the federal budget and sinking further into a bottomless pit of national debt and despair.
Alex's book, The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels, tackles many of the myths surrounding fossil fuels and even has me challenging many of my own assumptions of how much fossil fuels are truly affecting the environment. I do consider myself begrudgingly pro-choice really to about 12 weeks without getting too far down that road, but I do kind of understand this position of this is not a constitutionally guaranteed right, so you should kick it back to the states.
Just because they're flooding your town with fentanyl and that there are illegals raping your wives and your children, don't be so negative. You're just a negative Nelly. Let's have an uplifting conversation about fentanyl-laced rape.
I don't know that every advertisement on television has to be promoting the homos. It doesn't even make sense.
It's almost like he's completely ditched any semblance of the alleged Democrat that he used to be and has fully embraced the MAGA movement, even if they don't embrace him.
I want you to continue to say you're a liberal because you're of great use to good. You're of great use.
Tim Pool got started with the Occupy Wall Street movement, and then he just fell down the right-wing grifter rabbit hole. If you haven't figured it out by now, it's because it's politically advantageous to say, hey, look, the left is so crazy that even a reasonable leftist like Tim can criticize them.
You're of great use.
The only people that I see insist that Tim Pool is on the left are people on the right, including Tim Pool.
What am I?
I would say you're pretty much conservative.
What makes me conservative?
What makes you a liberal?
Well, traditional liberals in this country, specifically social liberal, is where I've always been. Voted for Obama in 2008.
By the way, I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could.
Yeah, I'm pro-progressive tax. I'm pro-Green New Deal.
A lot of people voted for Obama in 2008 and then moved over to Trump. We've established that. So
I voted for Trump in 2020.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Huh. Okay. And if I Google this Trump fellow, he definitely didn't cut taxes for the rich, install Supreme Court justices that helped make abortion illegal in numerous states, pull out of the Paris Climate Accord, and try to move us to as much oil and gas as possible, right?
Donald Trump is a New York liberal. Like, Donald Trump unfurled an LGBT flag on the RNC stage.
My goodness, what an idea.
Why didn't I think of that?
Anyway, let's look at Tim reading through Donald Trump's 2020 platform.
He wants to continue deregulatory agenda for energy independence. Now, this, I believe, has a lot to do with fossil fuels and things of that nature. While I've not been the biggest fan, I just got to say, look, I am somebody who's been traditionally liberal. I'm looking at a lot of these things. We'll keep going through the list, and I got to say, I don't see a way around what Trump is proposing. We can't just ignore it and carry on like we did.
Oh no, it's okay. We don't need green energy and environmentalism now. It's too volatile, and I support Trump's fossil fuel agenda because we need more jobs. Anyway, here's what he says 5 minutes later when he gets to a green policy.
Partner with other nations to clean up our planet's oceans. Yes, absolutely. Man, I've been talking about this stuff nonstop for years. Environmentalism, cleaning up the oceans, protecting our environment.
Leftist Tim Pool goes on to agree with all of Trump's conservative agenda.
I've never been a big fan of the Republicans, but here I am looking at Donald Trump's second-term agenda list and saying, it actually makes a ton of sense. I really like it. As of right now, I believe President Donald Trump is on track for a re-election victory and potentially a landslide.
So Tim claims to be pro-choice, but he says the left takes the extreme position, while the right settles for a compromise.
Conservatives will very much be satisfied by saying it's a states' rights issue, whereas the left outright's like we want unfettered access nationwide, no matter what. The left takes the extreme position, the right settles with a compromise.
And I find this clip especially funny because literally 2 seconds before Tim says this, his co-host, who is an out-of-the-closet conservative, said this.
I'm not satisfied
he's
by
not.
it.
No,
I'm
no.
not at all. No, I
No.
think we need to go further.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I would make it illegal nationwide if possible.
And if Tim was too stupid to hear the words being said right to his face, he definitely missed all of the trigger laws that went into effect the instant Roe v. Wade was overturned that made abortion illegal, or the states that are now just banning abortion.
My position on Roe v. Wade, for the most part, is that I agree with it. My position on today's politics across the board is that the country is being gutted and ripped apart, and perhaps preventing conflict means pulling back on what states can do, weakening the federal government.
It doesn't even make sense.
Sometimes the facade is so weak that he justifies voting for Trump because the Democrats support George Floyd riots and Twitter censorship.
I am not going to stand for these fringe far leftist big tech companies silencing American voices. I am not going to stand for the Democrats lying about the riots and supporting them. Absolutely not.
So yeah, it really doesn't seem like Tim supports any of the things he claims to support that would make him left. I mean, sure, he's not this guy, but what about him is left? He's pro-choice, except for which candidates he votes for, and will support total bans on abortion because of some arbitrary philosophy about evening out the extremes. He's pro-progressive tax, except for which candidate he votes for. He's pro-saving the environment, unless a Democrat supports Black Lives Matter or some stupid Twitter thing, and then he'll vote for people who oppose that. And you know, unfortunately, not everyone on the left is vehemently pro-trans. I've seen people who are a little more skeptical, and they especially get turned away when you introduce things like neo-pronouns or this.
What are hormone blockers and how do they affect your body?
But these people are still open to listening and doing their best to respect people. But you know what they don't do? They don't retweet and share vitriolic hate accounts who exist only to mock and antagonize trans people. Accounts that are so bad that they got banned before I could even take a screenshot for the video. Oh, and look, he's completed his totally not a conservative arc by doing a video for PragerU.
I'm Tim Pool, host of Timcast for Prager University.
It's really sad. Tim started with Greenpeace and Occupy Wall Street, and now he votes for people that bail out the rich and destroy the environment. How'd that happen, Tim?
I dropped out of high school at 14.
Alright, so these people are either delusional or lying when they say that the left left them. Almost none of what they currently believe or support is left, by modern standards or even by 10-year-old standards. But a lot of people who voted for Obama voted for Trump, so clearly this message resonates with some. I've even had friends tell me that they have similar hesitations about identifying with Democrats. So if you're still on the fence, hear me out. I don't leave the left when I see stupid bullshit for the same reason I don't threaten to move to Canada if a politician I don't like gets elected, because I still like where I am overall. And because I like it so much, I want to change the things I don't like to be better. But you have to realize that these people are grifters. We saw that they're lying about the things that they believe. But instead of just saying that they've changed their views, which is fine by the way, they say that the left changed and they stayed the same. Not because it's true, but because it helps their conservative cause to paint the left as the worst of its extremes. But would you leave the right because you saw something like this?
What do you think of Barack Obama?
I'm not too partial to blacks. If it was left up to me, you wouldn't vote yet.
Me?
Yeah, you're a woman.
Or this?
COVID-19! COVID-19! I blow the wind of God. The wind of God. You are destroyed forever, and you'll never be back.
Did that change your view of abortion or taxes or welfare? Seriously, all of that is culture war bullshit. Drag shows don't matter. Paraboy gender critics don't matter. What matters are things like the Citizens United Supreme Court decision. See, a big pivotal moment was in 2002 when John McCain and Russ Feingold passed the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act. This was actually an amendment to the Federal Election Campaign Act of 1971, and there were two major Okay, fine, I admit it. The culture war bullshit is way more entertaining, but at the end of the day, do you want your politicians focusing on things like banning all drag shows in Tennessee, a thing that you didn't even know existed until the past few years? Or do you want them to actually fix Tennessee, which ranks 39th in environment, 40th in healthcare, and 42nd in crime? And hey, if you still want to leave the Democratic Party, there are plenty of fair reasons to. For example, if you're a single issue voter on guns or abortion, if you think abortion is murder and you want it to stop, it makes sense to vote for the people who are trying to ban it everywhere. And Democrats are never going to pass gun legislation that makes gun owners happy. But no amount of twerking She-Hulk or cringy virtue signaling is enough to make me abandon my principles. And it shouldn't be enough for you either. If you see some Twitter rage clip or some pundit tells you to be mad about something that looks crazy, ask yourself if it really affects you at all. I get it, it's fun to be mad. I like yelling at these grifting assholes, but I would be just as dumb as them if I said that the reason I'm not on the right is because the right embraces the dumbest grifters. But it does help. I can't just sit back idly and watch these idiots that influence millions of people pretend like it's the left's fault that they abandon everything they believed in. We even have government representatives who campaigned on abortion rights literally last year, switching parties for reasons as flimsy as people criticized the American flag. The Democrats are still the best party to achieve all the goals that I care about. Don't let the stupidest people on either side dictate what your values are. And definitely don't listen to these morons who either don't know what their values are or never had them in the first place. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like if you did, subscribe if you want more, and leave a comment if you think there's something I should cover, and I'll have an existential meltdown wondering why I didn't think of that first.